Hello, hello, hello. This is Talking Manchester United, a United Stand podcast with myself, Paul Gardner, and joining me, as always, is Ash Burns. Ash, how are you, my friend?
Yes, I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Decent weekend, 3 points in the bag. Yeah, a couple of reasons to be
Yeah,
happy about yourself.
climbing up the table, slowly but surely.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Busy weekend, as always. Yeah, we're supposed to have Jamie on tonight, but not sure what's happened there. I think we did leave it probably a little bit too late to drop him a message, but
Yeah.
oh well, it is what it is. We've still got people lined up, so hopefully someone will join us next week. But yeah, well, I guess we talk about Burnley, I guess, then today, and then we'll leave the preview for next week, the international break, because otherwise, well, there'll be nothing to talk about next week. So we'll do the preview next week, and this week we'll just do the review of the Burnley game, and then take it over to Twitter as we normally do to see what everyone's saying. So yeah, 2-0, like you say, 3 points, moves us up to 10th in the league.
Come on, lofty position of 10th.
or joint 7th. Let's make it sound better at least.
Yeah.
But it's early days. You know,
Yes.
it was a promising performance, I thought. I won't go into too much detail now. Let me get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it was better. It was more of the same, I thought. I don't think we were as aggressive and I didn't show as much intensity as we did in the first half against Spurs, but it was very good nonetheless. Well, it was a much better improvement than from the Brighton game. And what was the game before that? I can't remember. I know we played Leicester.
Leicester, wasn't it? Leicester,
yeah. It was much improved from there. And I think I saw a stat somewhere which was quite interesting. I think it said like Leicester, we had something like 7 or 8 shots. The Brighton game, we had 8 or 9 shots. And then the last 2 games, we've had like 23 shots and 21 shots respectively. So it's much more promising. And I think it's almost similar to the season before last, where we were creating a lot of chances, but we weren't putting them away. And it was a little bit reminiscent of that as well yesterday, because we should have been 4 or 5-0 up. By half time. Well, we had a lot of chances, but we should have ended the game at least 4 or 5-0, I thought. And there was plenty of chances to be taken. I thought we should have taken the chances. Obviously, the penalty, we should have scored. I'm sure we'll come to that later. But yeah, a lot more promising. And what was nice to see as well was Burnley never really threatened us. Yes, they've not had a great start to the season, and they were tied after their games in Europe, but I thought we were much better, much improved, much more sort of regimented at the back. So it was, positives all around for me. Obviously, there's a few negatives, but yeah, on the whole, much better.
Yeah, there's always going to be negatives, even if your team plays absolutely fantastic. There's always going to be something you can nitpick at. But let's not do that for this game, I don't think. But yeah, it wasn't an electrifying performance. It was, I would describe it as professional.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair adjective to use for the performance against Burnley. Yeah. I don't think it was electrifying, and I don't think there was any standout players, individual players, as in I don't think anybody was particularly amazing in that game, but at the same time, I don't think anybody played particularly poor. It's just a very professional team performance that got the job done, got the 3 points, which is what we needed to see, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we've had 2 extremes, haven't we? We've had the very lackluster, lazy performance at Brighton, and then we had that very energetic and enthusiastic and go for it attitude against Spurs. Neither of them, we came away with 3 points. So we've sort of, met in the middle a little bit, sort of not calmed down, so to speak, but just a bit more conservative in our approach to the game, a bit more professional, and got the job done, dominated the game. And as you quite rightly said as well, Burnley posed very little threat. And it just reminds me back to when we did the preview for last week, when we do our Danger Men segment of the preview.
Yeah.
I think I just picked one player. I think that's the first time I've ever done that.
Yeah.
Just one player, and that was that Tarkovsky, who did actually look half decent in that game, I thought, for Burnley. But yeah, it was a professional performance. Now, one player in particular we've been talking about quite a lot recently, and so is everybody else, is Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
And not really had, we gave him a little bit of stick in the Brighton game. What did you make of him yesterday?
Frustrating again. I thought he was.
Was yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. I thought he was a little bit better than he has been. I think it was the Brighton game where he was abysmal. I thought he was okay. I have read some things and I heard some things from the commentators and that saying that Pogba had a very good game and whatnot. I didn't think he was great, to be honest. I thought he was frustrating again. I thought he cut a frustrated figure on the pitch as well at times. A little bit lackluster. Not his sort of overall energetic self. He made a few bursts forward, but I thought he was a little bit wasteful again. And I'm a little bit frustrated with him at the moment because I don't think he's fulfilling his potential. He keeps coming out with saying all these things and about mentality, but not really showing it on the pitch. And then what tipped it for me was the penalty. I was really frustrated with that. I thought he should have given it to Lukaku for his hat trick because if Pogba scored 2 there and Lukaku's a designated penalty taker, he's going to demand that off him. So I was a little bit frustrated of that. Obviously, he misses, which makes it much worse. But yeah, I'm not sold on him this season so far. Obviously, I'm hoping he'll still come good. He's got the potential, he's got the ability. He just needs to change his mindset a little bit and really get into the game because he's a pivotal figure for us when he's on form. He's been given more responsibility this season. He is the main man in our midfield, and he really needs to start showing that and getting his head around it. So yeah, not great. He did all right, but frustrating still.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the stellar performance that we expect from Pogba, but again, that'll come. I'm confident with that. And also, for players like Pogba, you need to have top class players around him as well. Yeah. Players who can read the game, who can be on the same level, the same wavelength as him. I don't think you're going to get that very much from the likes of Fellaini or Matic, maybe. Yeah. You know what I mean? Once he's got better players around him, I think, which will happen, if he stays with us, of course. But all we need him to do at the moment is just remain professional, keep it simple. And I think he did that a lot better against Burnley.
Yeah.
When you look at the game against Brighton, the amount of times he tried to hold the ball up, looking for one specific pass and then losing possession when he could have just distributed the ball quicker and got himself into a better position, perhaps. That was very frustrating against Brighton. But I didn't see much of that against Burnley. When he picked up the ball, he moved it quickly. He didn't faff about with it, not too much anyway.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an improvement for him. And yeah, he did look frustrated a lot of times. When a pass went astray or something like that. But I think that comes more from, he's looking to play a specific pass and players aren't moving. Which again goes back to the point I just made. So I quite like the fact that he's getting frustrated at times because it shows his passion for the game. You want to see that in players, that they care. I just think about when I'm at work, if something's not going right, I get frustrated.
Yeah.
That's only because I want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
And if it's not, it frustrates me because I'm passionate about it. And I think that's a good thing. Obviously, you can go a bit too far, as we've seen with Rashford. Get a bit aggressive. But that's a complete different scenario. But we'll come to that in a moment anyway. Lukaku then, as soon as you mentioned him, he only scored 1 goal, I think it was, before this game.
Yeah.
2 in the first 45 minutes. What were your thoughts on Lukaku's performance?
Superb. I really thought he played well. Not just his goals, which, we're always talking about the width and our crossing ability in the squad, which is horrendous for a squad with, no natural wingers and, players that don't really put balls into the box with quality. But, 1 decent cross into the box in that first half and he scores a great header from it. And I thought he terrorised that Burnley defence all game. I thought even when I think it's a real show of his character, what type of player he is. We spoke a lot about his mentality, and it's something that other players I think should be looking to adapt is his mindset because I think he's one of the most hardworking and one of the most assured players in the game. Because as soon as Rashford got sent off, I think we should have had another couple. His willingness to run at the defence and to hold up the ball and to work for the team is fantastic. And again, he could have had 4 or 5 goals, a couple of decent saves from Hart. I thought he went through on goal, and you look at the pace and the power of him to get past Ben Mee, go round Joe Hart. People are talking about a penalty. I'm not. It's borderline for me. Mee did have his arms around him, but I think he should have pulled the trigger a little bit earlier. But again, at that point in the game, we're down to 10 men. Burnley are looking to press on, and he's still showing that pace and that power. I think it is unbelievable. And I thought he was unreal. And I liked his comments as well after the game about Mourinho. Saying that he's a completely different person. That and I really like that. So I'm really impressed with Lukaku. Good to see him backfiring as well. And I think if we can get more quality into him and keep getting him involved in the game like he was yesterday, he's going to score an awful lot of goals for us this season, which is excites me. I really look forward to seeing how he develops.
Absolutely, it was a good performance from him. I was quite impressed with him. I do think that he should have got three. There were a couple of opportunities there, like you say, you should have took the shot a bit sooner. But again, it goes back, like I said last week. I can't remember if it was in response to a tweet or something that maybe you said, or we didn't have anyone on with us last week, did we? 'Cause it was meant to be Jamie, I think, or did we get someone on?
No, it wasn't last week.
No. But I did say last week, I think it was in response to a tweet, I'm sure it was, about Lukaku's confidence.
Yeah.
And I was saying that confidence is never going to be an issue with Lukaku. He's been in the Premier League for too long. He scores 20 plus goals every year. He knows what he's capable of. He won't have a confidence issue. Every striker goes through a dry spell. And you can't really call 2 or 3 games a dry spell, can you, really?
No.
To be honest. But here he is, scoring another brace. Just when people were starting to doubt him, because there were people doubting him. There were people saying that he should be out of the team. He's not good enough, and we should have bought King, or we should have bought Belotti, or whatever, Morata. And but no, nonsense. He's not the best striker in the world. We all know that. There are areas of his game that he can improve on, and those areas he has been improving on. We don't need to go into the details of that. We all know what we're talking about. But I was impressed with him. I'm sure we're going to see a much stronger Lukaku this season. I'm sure we'll see him score more goals than he did last season, providing he can get the service. You mentioned Rashford. Let's talk about Rashford.
Yeah.
The red card. What are your thoughts on that whole little 1-2 with Bardsley?
I hate Bardsley, whatever it is.
You know what? Before you go any further, so do I. I cannot stand the bloke. I really cannot.
No, and it's one of those. I think I'm trying to think of players who are around that same. So I think Sergio Ramos is a little bit, but Ramos has got the quality to back it up. But he's for a so-called hard man. He spent most of the time on the ground in that game. Looking for things, trying to be snide. Yeah. And I think nothing sort of epitomizes that more than that kick out at Rashford. Could have been a red in itself. It's a pretty blatant kick in front of the officials, but it doesn't get. But Rashford, he's a young lad. He's pumped up. He wants to do well, and he's just stuck a little bit of head on him. But it's the law of the game. I think nowadays there's been a few tweaks to the law, and it's a red card. Unfortunately, in my opinion, we've seen it a couple of times. I think this season, it was Richarlison one. I think that was very similar. Was that last week or the week before for Everton? So it's a red card. I think Bardsley maybe could have got punished more severely, but you can't be doing that. You can't be sticking your head on other players. I like the thing that was, I can't remember, someone said it was that picture of Joe Hart sort of sticking his head into Michael Oliver, and that went unpunished, which is always a funny one. But for me, I think it was a red card. It was the correct decision, but he's young and he's naive, as Mourinho has called him.
Yeah, I mean, it is exactly that. There's no arguments. It was a definite red. There was a video going around of the sort of cuts out the initial headbutt from Rashford and only shows the two of them with their heads together. And people are saying, "Oh, well, why did Bardsley not get sent off?" But it's exactly the same. But I think a lot of people missed the first bit where Rashford did quite clearly. It was a headbutt. Let's call it what it is. Yeah, it was a headbutt. Yeah. Definite red card. But like you say, he's a young lad. He lost his rag a little bit, and Bardsley's been in the game for years. He knows what he's doing. Again, this is all stuff that Mourinho said. We'll come to that a bit later on. I mean, one other thing I want to talk about as well is our defence.
Yeah,
because it's the fourth Premier League game?
Yeah,
fourth Premier League game. And the fourth different defensive lineup. So we've not had a consistent lineup in the defence in the whole 4 games. But that said, it was a much more clean performance, I thought, from our defenders. There were no penalty shouts, no rash tackles. That could largely be in part because of the fact we were dominating the game. Burnley didn't really pose a threat, but it was definitely a lot from our defence. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a lot more assured, and as you said, you used a good term, clean. It was more relaxed, but I think, as you said, it was largely down to the fact that Burnley didn't really offer much in terms of going forward. I think Lindelof is split in opinions. I think he's, some aspects of his game are very good, others are not so good. I still think he needs to settle more into this side. I really like the aspect of how he carries the ball and he moves the ball really well. I think he's a decent technician like that, but his composure, and I think in his positioning can be at fault at times. I think Smalling did well again. I love to slate Chris Smalling, but I'm at the point now where if he does something well, I'm going to praise him on it. I thought he was okay again. Played a smashing ball over the top for Alexis. Let's not forget that 50-yard ping from bloody Chris Smalling, which I was quite impressed with. But no, again, I think both of them can improve. I think with Bailly coming on at the very end, I think he might be in line to start after the international break. Again, I'm hoping so. We might see Eric Bailly and Chris Smalling, which could be an interesting partnership. But again, I think a lot of United fans are in the same boat that we'd like to see Bailly and Lindelof. But yeah, it is frustrating because title winning squads are built on that sort of solidarity of that, the centre-back partnerships and the consistent back four, which Mourinho's never really done his whole tenure at United. So it is frustrating, but when you've got such inconsistent players that we have in our defence, Luke Shaw, you're never really sure if he's going to blow hot or cold. Luckily, he's playing well this season. You've got Chris Smalling and Phil Jones, the Chuckle brothers. They can be a very inconsistent. And then you've got Eric Bailly and Lindelof again, as we saw at Brighton. They're inclined to a bit of an implosion as well. So it is frustrating. I would like to see a consistent back four, but I don't know. Had Mourinho maybe got a centre back in the summer, you might have done that. I don't know, but yeah, much improved, and it'd be interesting to see how he takes it forward.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those that still wants to see the Bailly and Lindelof partnership flourish, because that first game they played together against Leicester, they were absolutely phenomenal, both of them, and then it just came apart against Brighton. And like I said in the podcast after the Brighton game, I was disappointed. I knew that one of them would probably be taken out, but I was disappointed to see both of them taken out, because Jones and Smalling started that game, didn't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we'll see Bailly and Lindelof come back and be playing together again. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think because Bailly came on at the end, I don't think that necessarily means he's going to start against Watford. He might, but Watford on a bit of form at the moment, so and they're quite dangerous. But we'll talk more about that next week. You mentioned Luke Shaw. What were your thoughts on his performance? We've been sort of monitoring his progress this first part of the season.
Yeah, excellent again. I thought he was very, very good. I'm liking his willingness to get forward as well, and we saw him on a couple of occasions in that game having a pop at goal. Getting forward, cutting inside. To look to open space as well. I'm really impressed with him. He looks full of confidence at the moment, and I think he needs that. I mean, because obviously before that horrific injury that he had, he was so confident, bombing up and down the left. So I think it's done him the world of good. I think Mourinho putting his faith in him, and obviously Luke Shaw himself, working hard. He's come out with a lot of comments and how he wants to stay in the team and do this and that. And I think he's proved that, and his performances are speaking for themselves. Really impressed with him again. I think he was involved with the second goal, was he? Cutting in from the left and feeding Lingard on the edge of the box, I think. So, yeah, I'm really, really impressed with him. I hope he continues it, because we need a left-footed left-back. I don't care what anyone says. And I'm really impressed. I'm really, really glad for him, because he deserves it after everything he's gone through, all the stick he's had, from myself included at times. So, yeah, really impressed with him and really glad to see him in form.
Well, we've both criticised him, over the history of this podcast, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
When we first started doing it, Shaw was one of the big topics of discussion. Like I said last week, I was looking over through some of the old podcasts that we published years ago, and there was one episode we did about who could possibly be leaving in the summer. I think it was 2016-17 season. We were talking about Luke Shaw and how Mourinho just doesn't like him, doesn't think he's they've had a bit of a tiff, and we didn't think he would last the season, but yeah, here he is. A few years down the line, and he's now starting regularly on the left, and playing well. I mean, I don't think it was his best game. Like I said earlier on, I don't think any of the players in the team had their best game of the season.
Yeah. But
they were all very professional. They were good. They did what they had to do, and that goes for Shaw as well. That's a positive for him. Just to finish off the Burnley review then, I did mention this briefly to you just before we started recording, and that was Mourinho's comments after the game about Pogba, his penalty miss, and the Rashford red card. Now, the comments that he made were very positive. And briefly, when asked about the Pogba miss, he said, like, he'd never get angry at a player missing a penalty. He'll get angry at players that don't want to go up. Basically, I don't think he meant it like that, but I think he was more or less saying that he praises Pogba for having the courage to do it, to stand up and take that penalty. And then, he said, people miss penalties, big deal. And then when he was asked about the Rashford red card, like you said earlier, he said it, about it being, he's young, he's naive, whereas Bardsley's been in the game for 20 years. He knows exactly what he's doing, trying to rile him up. So just hearing those comments from Mourinho, it's like we're seeing a completely different person in the last couple of weeks. Everything that comes out of his mouth is pretty much positive. And I think that comes from the support that he's getting from the fans. I think he's recognised that the fans aren't, like you said, the fans aren't stupid. The fans know what's what. Not everything in the media is true. They know that the media are trying to, make him look bad and things like that. And the fact that the fans are still sticking with the players, even after that 3-0 humbling against Spurs, the fans were celebrating, not celebrating, but, supporting the players and Mourinho after the game. And I just think that's had the fans, we have to give credit to our away fans, the travelling fans that go week in, week out, because they've been an absolute gem for the club the last couple of weeks, the support that they've given them. And I think the players and the manager, Mourinho, recognise that. And it's now reflecting on the pitch and it's reflecting on the manager himself. So I think, they say, fans are a tough man, and they really are. For me, at least anyway, that's what I think. But to hear Mourinho, his whole attitude changing, the attitude of the team changing, it's just really good to see. I just wanted to bring that in there at the end. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's nice to see quite a lot recently of people who were sort of either on the fence or maybe a little bit towards Mourinho out, sort of coming in and sort of really taking to heart really what he said and how he's trying to play. And, he said himself, on numerous occasions he wants to play in a certain style. And I think that Spurs game was the turning point. I think we saw what he wants to do. And I think the fans maybe saw what we've discussed numerous times on the podcast, that he'd like to play in this certain way, but, against the bigger teams, due to the lack of experience and quality we've got throughout the team, sometimes we can't always do that. So I think that's shown a lot of fans, that Mourinho isn't boring. He doesn't want to play a crap style of football. He wants to do things, but obviously this squad limits him. So, yeah, it is nice to see fans get behind him. I mean, you and myself have been, behind him from day one, and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future anyway. So, yeah, it's nice to see. It's nice to get some fans sort of back on side and supporting the manager and the players.
Absolutely. I think that about rounds up the Burnley talk, unless you've got anything else you want to add.
No, I don't think so. I think that's it from me.
How about you guys listening? Drop us a comment on YouTube. We are on YouTube now, so if you're listening to us on there, give us a like, subscribe, drop us a comment, let us know what you're thinking, or drop us a tweet at United Stand Pod, or you can tweet myself at Paul Gardner LP, or Ash at Ash Boyo, ASHBOIO. So let's go over to Twitter then and see what's going on there.
Yeah, lovely. So yeah, as usual, the tweet went out. Recording the podcast, what would you like us to discuss? Top of the shop, Matthew McFadden. He says, who's this mysterious world beater at left back, and what has he done with Luke Shaw?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I think we've had our piece on Luke Shaw, but yeah, good question, Matthew.
Yeah, we completely agree. Matthew, he's doing well. Secondly, then, so Zach Brown, he says, I don't have a question. I just want to say #Mourinho in.
And there we go. Look, just as I was saying, the positivity around the fan base and the club at the moment is just something else, isn't it? When you consider that we've just lost 2 games in a row in the Premier League,
yeah,
it's weird, but good.
Yeah,
it is for me. I don't know about anyone else, but it is for me. But it's good. It's good. Weird.
Yeah, it
is. I'm with you, Zach Brown. There are still people out there who want him out, of course, and there has been before he even join the club. So that's that. People, there's always going to be people that are saying that, but I think you hear it in the stadium. You hear them chanting his name, staying after the game, even after the defeats, and chanting his name and applauding the players. It's a great atmosphere at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. So Josh Shaw, at Josh_Shaw94, is it a relative of Luke? We'll never know. He says, with 20 shots plus in the Tottenham and Burnley game, do you think we're going to see a different playing style, or is it just a 2-game fluke?
I don't think it's a 2-game fluke. I think what we've seen in the last 2 games, I think we'll continue to see, providing obviously keep players fit. Key players, that is, because as soon as 1 or 2 key players goes out, that's it. We'll probably see us revert back to the very cautious setup that we've been quite used to. But for now, I don't think it's a 2-game fluke. It was very professional performance. We did actually play well against Spurs for the whole 90 minutes. Better in the first half, but in the second half, I still thought we still pushed, we still created chances to score. I don't think it's a 2-game fluke. No, I think that we're seeing a turn of the tide, so to speak.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't think, again, it's a 2-game fluke. I'm hoping, obviously, we're going to get games, I think, down the line that we're not going to play so well, and we're not going to have 20-odd shots. But yeah, as long as we keep this, for the majority of games, we keep the pressure, we keep the high press, and we keep, attacking consistently and playing to our strengths as well, I think we'll be fine. So no, I don't think it's a 2-game fluke, and I think we'll continue to see this style. Robin Kenston, he says, positives. If I was the board, I'd invest in this team, fully backed by the fans. Lukaku looks fantastic, and Jose surprised me. Cons, Pogba as a whole, even if he was just unlucky not to get the goal, extremely close.
Well, yeah, I think we're all of the same opinion in thinking that the board really needs to invest in the team. I think the banner that went over the stadium said it all, really, didn't it? Lukaku looks fantastic. He does look sharp. He needed that performance against Burnley, and people will argue, yes, it was only Burnley. He disappears in the big games, but there were a couple of big games last season where he popped up with a goal, one against Chelsea. I remember that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we need to worry about Lukaku. I'm not worried about Lukaku. As long as he scores 20 plus goals this season, that's what we want from our striker.
Yeah.
There's other players in the team that can score goals as well. Jose surprised you. I can kind of, if you mean in the fact of how positive he's been and that that sort of thing, then yeah, I suppose you could say that that's quite surprising, considering all the crap he's been getting from the press. But I think that's largely down to the fans as well. I think the fans have shown him their appreciation and recognised what the team are trying to do and that sort of thing, and it's rubbing off on the manager and it's changing his aura, his attitude. So yeah, again, the fans have been brilliant. You got to say, not the Twitter ones,
yeah,
or a percentage of the Twitter ones, but the most of the fan base, the large majority of them, I think, have been absolutely fantastic in this whole opening period of the season.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with you, Robin, about Pogba. Again, we discussed that during the Burnley review. Disappointing, but I'm hoping he'll step it up and sort of get his head around the task at hand and show us what he can do. Next, Redhead Cartoons. I've actually just had a quick peep at their account, fairly new account. And they do sort of personalized drawings and stuff and sort of Manchester United cartoons. It looks quite funny. And their question is, how much does Jose Mourinho miss his right-hand man, Rui Faria? And then there's a little cartoon of Jose Mourinho crying over a portrait of Rui Faria on the wall. I like it. It's a good drawing. So, do you reckon Mourinho misses Rui Faria?
I mean, look, they were together, 17 years, I think, in the dugout. So, of course he does. But I don't think it's to an extent where, he thinks that the people he's got around him now aren't good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Michael Carrick and McKenna either side of him. He's always in conversation with them. They never look like they're having disagreements or anything like that. They all look rather content. So I don't think there's anything amiss on the bench or amongst the coaching staff. So I don't think he misses him in that sense. But judging by the picture, the little, the handkerchief and the teary-eyed Mourinho, maybe he's missing him like that. Maybe.
Yeah. That's good. I don't think he. Obviously, he'll miss him to some extent. He was with him for so long. He understood the, Mourinho's ethos and whatnot. But I think having McKenna and Carrick with him will only help him in terms of, Manchester United and that's sort of ingrained in them more so maybe than Faria. But No, I'm sure it'll be fine. Appreciate the cartoon. So keep them coming. I look forward to your comments and your cartoons to come. So yeah, thank you for that. Ike Yaguala, here he is with a trio of comments every week.
Tony Boa.
Yeah, Tony Boa. It'd be interesting to see what you make of that comment. Ike, let us know what you think.
I think he did say something about it last week. I'm not sure.
Oh, did
he? Yeah, I think he did.
So he says, are we going to gloss over the fact that Smalling pinged the 50-yard ball into Sanchez's path? Yeah, we did mention that, which was very impressive. Teamwork got us the win, more of the same. Teamwork and effort first, and then your talent would show. That's how Jose has put across to the players. Fellaini was Zidane/Vieira-esque. So we'll discuss that first.
The 50-yard.
Well, the 50, yeah.
Yeah, so the 50-yard pass, you mentioned that already, yeah. Teamwork got us the win, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Just as we were saying earlier, it was more of a, like I said, no individual player stood out for any negative or positive reason. Very professional performance by everybody. A great team performance. And as you quite rightly say, Tony, that's your name now.
Yes,
that is it, Tony Yeboah. Just because of the surname, Iguala, I just think Yeboah. But no, absolutely right. Teamwork got us the win. Another great point, teamwork and effort first, then your talent would show. Yep, absolutely. That's what we want to see, and hopefully they can mimic that performance against Burnley at Watford, and maybe some of the your Sanchez, your Pogba, maybe we'll see some of them players show us what they can do. Fellaini, well, I'll say one thing about Fellaini. He hasn't been bad this season.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, he's been brilliant, because no, he's been good. Let's not, just because it's Fellaini, let's not not give him credit, because I think he deserves a bit of credit. He hasn't done anything bad. He hasn't been losing the ball every time he gets it. He's been tidy.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair comment. He's been tidy.
Well, to be fair, I actually forgot this when you said anything to add, and I completely forgot. But seeing that comment, and I was going to say, to be honest, I thought Fellaini was our best midfielder by quite a stretch in that Burnley game. And I know
he gave man of the match to Matic, because apparently he played 77 passes, more than any other player on the pitch, and had an 87% successful pass rate. So that's what the BBC was saying anyway.
I don't know. Matic, for me, he slows us down far too much. Obviously, Fellaini does slow us down as well. I said before the match that Fellaini and Matic midfield is like running through custard. But to be honest, I thought, as soon as that team sheet came out, I thought a lot of United fans' heads dropped. They thought, Fellaini. But I thought he was very, very good. I thought he shielded the back four well. And I think that's why Mourinho likes him, and other managers have put so much faith in him, is because he tends to do as he's told. And I thought he did a great job of shielding that back four. There was a few occasions where he intercepted balls, played through the middle, a few little decent turns. He won a load of aerial duels, and he took the ball down his chest and linked play really well on numerous occasions. And I don't think there's one occasion where I can think, oh Christ, what's Fellaini doing there? He's done something wrong. So in that respect, he had a very good game. I think I saw some. I can't remember if it was on Sky or if it was on Match of the Day or something, praising how well he did and showing clips and stuff like that. So, we love to hate on Fellaini, but when he has a good game, I'm gonna highlight that as well. So I thought he was very, very good. I thought he was better than Pogba and Matic for me, in my opinion. But you might think wrong, everyone listening.
Well, there we go. Some Fellaini praise.
Yeah, why not? And then last of all, Ike or Tony. It says, just an observation, I've seen Carrick address Pogba most of the time on the touchline. Is he Pogba's handler now?
I wouldn't say he's Pogba's handler in so many words. Carrick has been on the touchline addressing most of the players, to be fair. From what I've seen anyway. I've seen him on the touchline quite a lot with the substitutes, giving them instructions. He did it with Herrera as well, I believe. So I think the camera likes to look at Pogba. So it's not surprised if you carry it quite a lot, but no, I don't think people might read into that as in, Mourinho doesn't want to speak to him, get Carrick to give him the instructions. And I don't think that's the case at all. After the game, you've seen Mourinho shaking Pogba's hand, putting an arm around him. That doesn't to me, that doesn't look like there's a problem. But yeah, I think Carrick is doing that with most players, to be fair. It's part of his job. I mean, Rui Faria used to do it as well.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Plus the fact, he's assistant manager, he's going to be in contact with the players, as much, if not more than Mourinho. And I think also, there's a lot been made of, is Mourinho and Pogba's relationship stable? We don't know. That could be one aspect of it. I doubt that, though. And another reason is because, Carrick is, was one of the most underrated midfielders of his generation. He'll know the job that Pogba will have to do. And I think no one really at Manchester United could tell Pogba, how to play and how to adapt his game more than Michael Carrick. So that could be another reason, that Carrick is addressing him. But no, I wouldn't read too much into it. I think, as you said, Paul, there'll be assistant managers addressing every player across the pitch, and I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Excellent. Is there any more, or is that the last one?
Well, that was the last one on that one, but I sort of quoted the tweet as well and put one out to tell people. And Matt, Bearded Thing, he replied to my tweet instead of replying to the podcast one. But not to worry, I've got you, Matt. I did remember that you commented, because it was, I won't say important, but it was an interesting comment. He said, how do you guys feel about the plane over the Burnley game? And then Luke Shaw is back. It's incredible.
Well, first things first, Matt, you are important. Don't listen to Ash. Every single one of you are important to us, okay? You did cut out just briefly then, Ash. If you could just read out the tweet again, that really important tweet.
Yeah. Shut up, dude. He says, how do you guys feel about the plane over the Burnley game? And Luke Shaw is back. It's incredible.
How do I feel about the plane? I don't really have any thoughts about it, to be honest. It's a bit silly, it's a bit daft. People have put time and effort and money into the banner flying over. It's not going to make a blind bit of difference. Do you know what I mean? We all know that Ed Woodward is the Glazers' puppet. Do you know what I mean? It was a pointless, ridiculous. Okay, maybe I do feel something about it. It's all coming out now. Pointless and ridiculous. There we go. That's my thoughts on that. And yes, to Luke Shaw. What are this podcast is titled Rom's Revival, because of the brace and getting some goals to his name. But we think, Luke Shaw was the one who's had the revival, if anyone's had a revival in the team. But like we said last week, Ash, when we were debating putting Luke Shaw in the title, we thought, let's give it a few more games. Just to see how he performs, because we've seen this from Shaw before, where he has a couple of good games and then drops out again. But let's leave it a little while. Wait till he has his next stormer of a game, and then we can make it all about him. But he's got praise from us. Not that he needs it. Not that he needs validation from us, but we like talking about him, especially when he's playing well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, again,
I think we're due to have Matt on, aren't we? I think he's next after Jamie.
I think he is indeed.
Yeah, I think Matt, if you're listening to this, be on standby next Monday, because if we can't get any response from Jamie, then we'll get you on.
Jamie did happen to reply to the message we sent him.
Oh, he has. What did he say?
Yeah, just pick this up. Only started cooking my tea. Has only just got the kids to bed. He says very sorry. No problems, Jim.
Okay, that's all right. No worries.
And that's it.
Excellent. Well, I think we can wrap it up then. Nice and early tonight.
Yes.
Well, for us it is. Everyone else listening to this might.
You wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah. Yeah, quick and early one tonight, which is nice because I can go and relax for a bit.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. It's just this hard slog through next weekend with no football, no decent football anyway. No one likes it.
Well, do you know what? After the World Cup, I'm going to watch the England games just to see if we can carry that momentum post World Cup.
Okay.
And play some good football.
As a Welshman, I have no interest.
Of course, yeah. I forget. Yeah. Not everybody.
I might watch some other games. We'll see.
Yeah, but I'm going to watch the games, or at least try to anyway, just to see, just to see how the players are getting on. But let's leave it at that then. For all of you listening, thank you very much as always. As I said earlier in the podcast, we are now on YouTube. If you didn't know that, look us up, subscribe. Just search Talking Manchester United Podcast or United Stand Podcast. It should come up. Leave us a comment. Give us against Burnley, the points we made, i.e. Pogba, Shaw, Lukaku. Let us know what your thoughts are. Give us some feedback on the podcast. Is there anything else you'd like us to do? We love feedback. So yeah, either on YouTube or on our Twitter account at United Stand Pod. You can follow myself at Paul Gardner LP. And Ash, want to give out your details?
Yeah, at Ashboyo, ASHBOIO.
And if you are on YouTube, head over to VanCam. We promote this every week as well because it's brilliant. Love watching it. Kev Ashford, you probably know him. So get over to YouTube and search VanCam. And I think that's about it. So, yeah, definitely nothing you want to add.
I don't think so. Well, you can mention
again because you said just a minute ago when we spoke about something, you said, "Oh yeah," because I asked you if you had anything to add after the Burnley game.
Yeah, and I forgot, but I sort of we could have left it till next week, but do you want to mention it now about the predictor?
Oh yeah, good point. See, I'm glad I asked again.
Yeah, you did. Well.
Yeah, so as some of you, if not all of you, will know, me and Ash had this little head-to-head and predicting what the lineup's going to be. And at the moment, as it stands, Ash is winning 3-1 with his predictions.
Yep.
It's a lead that's not going to last very long.
It's not, no. Well, it has been cut, as I said, because as our teams were very, very similar leading up to the Burnley game. There was only one player that we had different in our starting 11s. I had Marcus Rashford starting, and you had Jesse Lingard starting. Rashford didn't start, and Lingard did. Therefore, you get the points. It's 3-2 to me going into the international break.
Absolutely. It's a very slender lead there, Ash.
Pulling it back. I fully expect me to crumble before Christmas, don't you?
Oh, you will.
I will.
You will. Yeah, a whopping 9 players correct for me this week, which is nice. Just thought I'd just get that in there.
Yeah. I had 8. Calm down.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you all for listening. I'll shut up now. We will be back next week. We know it's the international break, but we'll do the Watford preview. And obviously the Twitter segment as well. And hopefully we'll have either Jamie or Matt on with us. So yeah, thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week.